Hello and welcome to Unrestricted Lorefare and our world of Beacon Space. I'm your host, Lichmaster98, as always, and welcome on in to our show this evening where we'll be going over Faction Turn 18. If you're new here and don't know what Unrestricted Lorefare or Beacon Space is, Unrestricted Lorefare is a Discord community of creators and people who enjoy role-playing games, as we're working to develop this collaborative world we call Beacon Space, a sci-fi setting set in the far future that takes inspiration from lots of classic sci-fi literature, as well as our own ideas about what the world might look like in the far future where Earth is nowhere to be found. You're taking a look here at one of our nice user interfaces. This is the map representation of what our sector looks like, and this is based off of the Stars Without Numbers faction turn game, so we're looking at a hex grid layout, and this is actually the planet of Tellus, the planet that is center in our sector, and a focus, in fact, of today's show, given that, assuming nothing goes wrong, the clock on the planet will complete, and we'll get to see what happens and what that means for the sector at large. As always, if you notice any mistakes in the faction turn from people who are playing along, thanks for submitting in your turns, getting them all in. And if you notice any mistakes, of course, just say something in the chat, and hopefully I'll be able to correct it live, so we don't have any mistakes on stream. Which, it's alright, even if we do. They can always be fixed. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with our faction turn. So, we don't have a Tellus Terra group vote to take care of at the onset of this turn, given that, there's quite a lot of hustle and bustle in the TTGI right now, trying to wrap up the map and the terraforming efforts itself. There is, in fact, actually a lore request, though, that I'll talk about probably again at the end of the stream, but let me go ahead and give a brief introduction now. I'd appreciate if every faction, and I already have a statement from Children of the Vein, because they are the planetary governors, so I sort of asked them a little bit early, but I would like a statement from every faction on the completion of this terraforming effort. It's been a great unifying project across the sector, and it's sort of wrapping up and coming to a close. And there's this great celebratory aspect of look at this amazing accomplishment that's been completed in the sector, and it's been centuries since a terraforming project of this scale has able to been completed. But at the same time, now the question is, what's next for this collective of the Terra group, and what it's going to mean now for the sector that the technology has been proven to work. So I'd like everyone's statement on it. You'll get a little bit of a clearer request from me within the next little bit, so that and I'll also post it in the Discord so people can look at it there, and preferably that would be due before the upcoming lore stream later this month. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with the faction turns so that I can get us started here. So I didn't quite have this prepared with columns, so let's go ahead and add those now for the turn 17.5 trades, which I'll add afterwards if I need to add them to tracking on the sheet. We've got the turn 18 order and turn 18 actions. Let's go ahead and make all of these rows part of the table, and then shrink things down a bit. We don't need these columns to be quite so large. Okay, that's pretty good. And our first faction today is going to be the Algomala Syndicate. They are first in our turn order, so let's go ahead and get started with them. Alright, let's see. They are going to start us off by spending some experience that they've acquired. So they currently have a total of 7 experience. They're going to spend 6 of it, taking them down to 1 to upgrade their cunning from a 3 to a 4. That does not affect their income, but it does give them a little bit more HP. So after that, we'll go ahead and give them their incoming balance of 5 faction credits, bringing them up to 44. And then we're going to go take the attack action for them, as they've done at least in a variant of which for the past couple of turns. But before we process those attacks, let's go ahead and start off with a quest action of theirs. So they're going to try to reveal this white whale that's been hanging out down over here. You know, looks pretty fancy and cool, and yeah, let's see if they can manage to take it off of stealth. And I've just discovered what tab I felt I was forgetting. I forgot to open a dice roller. 1 second, let me get my Roll20 instance open. And not sign in on the tab that's streaming, because that could only go horribly wrong. It would never cause any problems whatsoever. Okay, great. Let's zoom in. I bet people can't see this. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Alright, so let's get things started off here with the opposing rolls for the revealing the white whale, which is going to take a cunning versus cunning roll. The whale only has 1 stat, that's a 4. The Algomala Syndicate also has a cunning of 4, so it's going to be a pretty contested roll. So let's just take this d10 plus 4 for the Algomala Syndicate, giving us a 14, and a d10 plus 4 for the whale, who, tried to be competitive here, and got a 13. So, wow, pretty exciting stuff. But for the first time that this white whale has existed, he's no longer in stealth. That's a pretty scary place to be for that whale. So that takes care of the stealth aspect, and so that's a great to see that finally succeed. Let's go ahead and make a note. So this was a 14v13 success. So that means, for the first time, I actually get to process these attacks, which that they've been submitted. So that's pretty nice. So there are 3 strike fleets in this hex that are attacking the white whale asset. One small procedural note is generally other factions being attacked would be able to have other factions in the sector or in the hex step in defend. There are 2 Tahora Fai ships here. There are defensive orders that I have from Tahora Fai for the white whale. The white whale will accept other defensive orders, so the Tahora Fai have provided me the triggers that they are using for defense. The initial trigger we need to have is the white whale needs to get hit by an attack, and then subsequent attacks the Tahora Fai will step in and defend. So, with that stated, let's go ahead and roll these attacks. So the first attack gets to take the warlike tag, which is once per turn. This faction can roll an additional d10, giving them advantage while making a force attack. So we will get 2 d10s for the Syndicate on this first attack versus the white whale. So let's go ahead and roll those out, starting in the same order as we did last time. So this will roll 2 d10, keeping 1 plus 4 for the Algomala Syndicate, who is on a hot streak today, also rolling another 14. Let's see how this whale can do on a defense with a d10 plus 4. Man, also rolling high, but not a 10, so only a 12 there. That will mean these strike fleets do hit, and it does not particularly matter at this moment which one is first, because they should all be still at full HP, so that's fine. Strike fleet, however, does 2d6 damage, so let's see how much that's going to be. So /r 2d6 for a total of 8 damage against the white whale. Okay, so let me go track that. So the white whale is now down to 12 HP. And on the BTE tracker, I need to add 8. so that I don't forget to keep track of that. And then let's go keep... Okay, this was 2d10 plus 4, 14, versus d10 plus 4 equals 8, success, 2d6 damage equals 8. Great. Okay, so that means for this next attack from the Strike Fleet Lalanza, the Tahora Fayi are stepping in to defend with one of their strike fleets present in the sector. So the rules for that, let's double check since this is the first time we've had one of these defensive actions come in and take place. Hasn't been too much attacking that's gone on. So let's take a look at that section here, which is a faction in, in this case the White Whale could choose another faction to defend. In this case, the defending faction is treated as if they had been attacked with regards to their tags, stats, and etc. In effect, the defending asset becomes a part of the defending faction, but uses the tags and stats of its actual owners. So this hopefully clarifies this section here if anybody needs to go through and can read. There's some edge cases again for when you're talking about bases of influence, because those are weird assets in some of their additional rules. So let's go take a look here, because this means we need to check what the Tahora Fayi's stats are for their force. So the Tahora Fayi have a force stat of 5, giving that to be now the defensive roll against the Algomala's benefit of 4. So we'll roll in the same order. This will be a d10 plus 4 for the Algomala Syndicate, who have rolled, well, they're trading in their good luck for a bad roll there, so they've only got a 7. So let's now roll that d10 plus 5 for the Tahora Fayi, who have rolled a 9, so that is a successful defense for the Tahora Fayi. Counterattack damage on a strike fleet, by the way, is, let me find it right here, is 1d8, so we'll be rolling a 1d8 of damage against the, is it the Lalanza that was second? Yeah, Lalanza strike fleet. Taking 4 damage there. So let's go record that damage for the against the Algomala Syndicate. Let me figure out which one of these is Lalanza. It's this one. Taking that down to 4 HP there. Okay, now let's go record this on this sheet. So this was d10 plus 4. Well, actually, let's say Tahora Fayi defends, so d10 plus 4 equals 7 versus d10 plus 5 equals 9. Failure, counter, attack, 1d8 equals 4 damage. Okay, and there's one final fight that goes down here. It's the same 2 rolls, so let's go ahead and roll these. It's just different assets participating. So we get a d10 plus 4, giving Algomala getting a good roll there of a 13. Let's see if the Tahora Fayi defenders can pull off an upset, and no, they can't. They found a nat 1, counteracting those nice 10s from earlier, for a 6, meaning that the Tahora Fayi will take the attack damage of the strike fleet, which is 2d6, for a total of 7 damage against that asset. So let's go record all of these things that have just happened. So let's do this. Tahora Fayi defends. d10 plus 4 equals 13 versus d10 plus 5 equals 6. Success. Damage. Well, it's 2d6 damage equals 7. Okay. That's pretty funny. We've rolled the just slightly above average damage across those 2 rolls. Okay. Let's go apply the damage to a Tahora Fayi strike fleet that is in the correct hex. They don't have any names on either of those strike fleets, and neither of them are currently damaged, so I'm going to arbitrarily pick the first one by row, and to Horrify Ye are welcome to rename them as they would like. But that one goes down to having 1 HP remaining. Algomala Syndicate gets BTE goal, so I'm going to put that at 10 out of 10, and we'll come give them their XP for it in the moment. I have a reminder for me to go check that. Okay, so that was the 3 attacks. One was defended, the other one was defended. All of that has happened, and let me go mark that the white whale was actually attacked this turn, so that I can properly choose its turn as a result of that. Okay. That looks like everything for the attack portion. Let me just double check my notes here. This is I think the most complicated attack sequence we've had yet, so... Okay, yeah, that looks correct as far as I'm concerned. Oh, that's an interesting point there, Interfriend, where you may want to argue the BTE goal changes. I'm actually going to state that I don't think it changes. I think the goal is set when you take the target is set when you take the goal. So if you took BTE again, it would go up to 11. But since you took it before, I think it is set at that point. I don't since there's this weird you have to take a goal interaction, and in most cases goals are taken and then solved the same turn, so it normally wouldn't impact. But I think it makes sense to say any of these things that have you set a goal, the goal should be set when you take the target should be set when you take the goal. It should not be able to change even if your stats change. If that needs to be added into a rulings document just so that it's clear and written down somewhere, I'd be more than happy to do so, but I think that's a pretty logical thing, that the goal shouldn't be able to change while you're working working towards it. The goal should be set from the outset, and then you should have to achieve it. So let's go through my other few things now. So there's now that those are complete, there is a siege that completes. Planet E has been finished a planetary seizure from the Algomala Syndicate. They have a new name for that. Let me go rename that planet. Let's find it this way, that'll be faster. They have named it Buena Aires. I see what you did there. I did not catch that beforehand. I'm gonna move on and not acknowledge it and take a drink. All right, now that that's passed, congratulations on your new planet. That also then does complete their BTE goal, which, if I recall correctly, is a difficulty 2. How is that not written on there? Am I gonna have to go pull out my my copy of the PDF to verify? I guess I should, but I'm fairly certain it's 2 XP. And if it is, we'll add it there, because it should almost certainly be on this page. Okay, blow the enemy. Yes, difficulty 2. Can you fix this? T2. Yep. And then we'll go grant 2 experience for that, bringing them up to 3 and clearing their goal. And their Seize of Planet L progresses to tab 2 out of 3. That wraps up their turn, and we can move right on along to our next faction in the turn order this time around, which is the Horrify Ye, who just took some defensive action. So let's see what they do. Well, I'd say in response, but time is sort of wibbly-wobbly in the faction turn, and it's not really a response. So instead, we get to see them take this Expand Influence action and earn some faction credits. So Let's go give them their money so that they can have a nice balance of 22 faction credits to work with. And then they're going to expand influence onto the planet of BQ, which I'm not actually sure where that's located off the top of my head. But we can find out, I bet, because they have an asset on world. Ah, that's right, it is over off in the space that they have claimed somewhere over here. 0012. Right down here. So they'll be putting down a base of influence there for 1 XP. There's nobody to contest them, so it's a fairly trivial expand influence actions. Let's give them their base of influence. It's going to be 1. Actually, I should pull the drag down columns and then do it that way. Oh. Haha, that's right, the whale does not autofill. And then this is on to planet BQ. Perfect. And let's put it back in the table. So that takes care of the expand influence portion. We just need to go charge them for that action. But before I charge them, let's go make 2 other movements they have on this that are going to cost them some money. So they are moving a strike fleet from the planet BQ, this one that's located right here, to 1001, which is a point in space. So we'll just ignore that the map's not going to like that. And that's going to cost them 1 faction credit. Then the other thing they're going to do is move a strike fleet that is currently located on Tellus. Yes, that's the correct column, or correct row. And they're going to move over to Mancura Niti, which is going to also cost them 1 faction credit. So if we can take a look over here, this strike fleet is just heading its way back up a few hexes, and over here, the strike fleet on Tellus is moving down to Mancura Niti. So that is a total cost of 3 faction credits over those actions for the Dahora Fayi, taking them down to 19 faction credits. Next thing they're going to do is take a quest action of theirs to try and lure the whale to a specific hex. They're going to need to make a roll on that, and it's going to include the whale's stats, for example, as well as as well as their cunning stat. Sorry, that was just the word totally slipped my mind, and I couldn't remember it. So they have a cunning score of 4. So let's roll the Dahora Fayis first, as customary for this one. And they've rolled a 10. Now let's see if the whale is successfully influenced with the same roll. Whale rolls a 12, so unfortunately not successful in directing where the whale would attempt to move to. So that means the whale will take their action as normal on their upcoming turn. Now that handles their quest action. So up next is a revised charts, which is to attempt to explore the atmosphere of Dine and change it into a breathable atmosphere. So this is a roll on the how do you change a planet. This is a DC 11 roll, so it's going to take their constellation bonus, which is a +5, and roll against that 11. So let's roll their 1d10 plus 5. 14 is an easy success there. So they're going to be wanting to change the atmosphere of Dine into breathable. So let's go and actually take a look at that, the rules for planet modifications, because it'll be important here to establish this one. Changing the atmosphere allows them to earn some amount of modification points. Did I... Oops. Modification points. Which allow you to change the atmospheric temperature of a planet. You earn 1 point for hitting the difficulty of 11. There's an additional point earned for every 2 over. So that means they've earned 2 modification points in total. So let's go take a look at the planet of Dine and see what the current atmosphere is. Oops, not what I wanted to do. It's currently a corrosive and invasive atmosphere. So I believe that requires, what is it, 2 points to shift? I think I need the chart that was in my other document that it would be nice to have open. Map modifications. Apparently I didn't copy all the information I needed over when I moved things. Yes, it's just shifted along the scale, and I believe corrosive and invasive is 2 changes to get to breathable. So there they go. That wraps up that change, making Dine a much nicer place to live. Yeah, that was the correct tab. Okay. Go away, edit warning. Sweet. Very exciting. That takes care of their planet change. Now they have a Lagan planetary ruin where they are exploring the results of Project Ithis with the compelling story of Beamish and crew. Let's go roll a flat to d10 to see what progress they make on that. A nat 1 is not the roll you want to see on a ruins roll. That is no change to the ruins clock, but we get a continuation of the story, so maybe we'll get to see what chaos Beamish and crew get up to in the near future. Let's go record the results of those rolls. So this was a 1, that's a failure. This was a 14, 2 modification points. And this, I believe, was 12v14. Let me go double check. 10v12. Okay. Off by 2. Wrong button. 10v12. Alright. That takes care of all of that. We just need to go give them a single XP for their Expand Influence goal, and that will wrap up the Tohora Fai's turn. Bring them up to an XP total of 3. That's the way that works. We thank them for their turn as we move right along to the Children of the Vein, who are 3rd this turn. They've got a turn set upon buying an asset, so let's see what asset they're interested in purchasing after their income of come on, paste. Weird. Let's see what asset they're going to purchase. They're going to end up buying a commodities broker with that, but let's give them that money and some other free actions. So they're going to go up to a total balance of 24 faction credits, and then they're going to take a free action to move a strike fleet that they currently have located on Calypso, which is right over here, and it's going to move to Bapak. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce all of those characters correctly, but it's going to take this jump over to a Ascent planet. And let's go make that transfer for 1 faction credit, bringing it down to a total of 23. And Children of the Vein has a thing on Calypso right here. not going to be able to find it with the Greek characters because I don't know how to type those on my keyboard. Next up, though, let's go ahead and purchase their assets that they're going to buying of a commodities broker, and that will cost them a total of 20 credits, so a pretty expensive purchase, but that's all right. Let's set that up to the correct thing, and this is purchased on Heliositis, so their homeworld, so no triggers need to be checked to make sure they can purchase it. So let's go charge them for that. That brings them down to 3 faction credits. Up next, they're going to take a free action to heal a strike fleet of theirs that is currently on Tellus, taking advantage of the planetary action therein. The strike fleet then goes up to 6 HP. A nice small change. Then on the Bapok, the Ascent planet that they've moved to, they're going to establish a planetary governor. This is welcome by Ascent, giving them a +2 on the roll, so a d10 +2 against the target difficulty of 8. Let's see, they do re-roll a 1 once due to Fanatical, so let's see what happens, and they've only rolled a 4, so that's unfortunate, but that 1 did get a re-roll into a 2. So that's not a successful establishment of this clinic, unfortunately, so that will be okay. So that means their roll for how many things they've established needs to match the number of missionary clinics they have. So let me just double check this. Yep. So that means they're only going to get a 5d6 minus 5 rather than 66 minus 6. Okay, just wanted to double check that before, and I'll go fix it on their turn here in just one moment. So 5d5 minus 5 gives them, that should have had a 1 re-rolled in it, so let's roll, and sorry, that should be d6. It should be 5d6. I'm just going to re-roll that because I've typoed the roll itself, because it should be a d6. Re-rolling once, minus 5. Okay. There we go. With the, still not the correct thing, so I'm just going to drop this last roll, because I've typoed it again, so, but we'll just drop the 1 that was re-rolled into a 3. So that means it's actually a total of 15 then, to add on to their clock, which takes them up to, it looks like that's going to go, their current balance is 39, so let's say 39 plus 15. Have somebody else do the math for me. A total of 54. Okay. Let's go track all of that before I forget. So quest clock now at 54 after all of my mess trying to type out formulas. This is why this is why live editing formulas never goes well. But that's been taken care of. They've made their progress. I think it's essentially guaranteed next turn. Well, I suppose it's, strictly speaking, not. The odds of them rolling 5 ones that re-roll into 5 other ones, though, is fairly low. So I suspect they will probably complete this next turn. Which is pretty interesting to see one of these quests getting that close to completion. So, with that said, though, that takes care of that, and they didn't set a goal for this turn, so no experience gain, and that finishes up their turn. So we'll move right along to the Assembled Commonwealth, who are next in this faction turn, coming in 4th. They are likewise going to be continuing this trend of acquiring new assets. Actually, I've just realized I didn't add purchase sickness onto this asset. Let me change that real quick and clean off purchase sickness of the previous Assembled Commonwealth purchase. So, Let's go give the Commonwealth their money so they can make their own purchase. They get to go up to 19 faction credits, and they're going to then take advantage of that additional influx of cash to purchase a new asset that they are going to buy a covert shipping asset with. So covert shipping is their asset of choice, coming in with the Commonwealth and purchase sickness. Let's go ahead and grab all of those things. And then let's say that this is purchased on planet BH, which they have other assets and a base of influence on, so totally cool there. And then we're going to take advantage of a commodities broker asset that is going to try to move itself. Well, sorry, not move itself, get moved by another asset. So down here, this commodities broker is going to move. Oh, sorry, I've messed up this purchase location. This purchase location was Idarast. I've transposed 2 columns. There we go. So this commodities broker here on planet BH is going to move over to Mankura Niti, which is located in way over here, and it's going to be taking advantage of this covert shipping asset back on Peleus. So gets to slingshot itself across the sector pretty far. So let's take advantage of that. So this commodities broker right here on planet BH moves itself to Peleus. There we go. And then there's a modified population roll for continuing to try to make some map modifications, but let's go make the faction credit charges. So the Commonwealth spent 8 faction credits on purchasing their new asset and 1 on the movement, so that takes them down to a total of 10 faction credits. Okay. Now we're going to try to change the population of Peleus by taking another map modification roll. So that's just a very similar one to how the other changing of the atmosphere worked. So let's go roll a d10 plus 4, which is the Commonwealth's constellation bonus, and this is another DC 11 roll, so it would help to make it a d10 and not just a 10. But a 11 will hit the success rate, giving them the ability to change this planet's population. So Peleus, it's very nicely to see their colonization efforts and relocation of people out to this new uncolonized world. And see the outpost grow to a total of millions of people. Very nice for the Assembled Commonwealth. Let's go make note of that. D10 plus 4 equals 11. Success. Great. That takes care of that change for the Assembled Commonwealth. Did that change? It doesn't look like that's saved. So pretty exciting changes going on there. And that wraps up the Commonwealth's turn, as they did not set a goal. So we'll move right along to the Carbine. Indifferent, was it? Did I say something different than what I actually did? I may have. Let me go double check. Yes, it is going to Mankura Niti. You are correct. The covert shipping asset was located on Peleus. So this commodities broker actually went to Mankura Niti. Thank you for catching that. Now we'll move on to the Larkspur Combine, who are continuing in their throes of going inside and behind enemy territory, but they'll do so right after they earn their 6 faction credits. So, Larkspur Combine goes up to 8 faction credits in total, and they're going to use their asset abilities. The first thing they're going to do is activate 4 post-tech industries, so those are going to need some asset rolls of, a type that we're pretty familiar with, but post-tech industries are going to roll a d6, having different amounts of either income gain or loss. So let's go... let's see what these 4d6 give us. A 5, 2, 4, and 1. So a 1 loses 1 credit. I believe a 5 gains 2 credits, and a 2 and a 4 earns 1 credit. So in total, that's an income of 2, and then 1, and then 1, and then minus 1, which is just 4. So they've earned 1 faction credit each. So let's go give them that income right after we record how much of a profit they made. So 4d6, gain 4 FC. So that'll take them up to a total of 12 faction credits. Then next, they are going to move 4 strike fleets, conveniently taking that money back away from them. So they go down to 8 faction credits, but let's go move these strike fleets of theirs. So the strike fleet that is currently located on Mancuraniti is moving to Iderest. The 2 strike fleets that were currently on Iderest are moving back to Mancuraniti. Quite fun. That finishes the 3 that need to move behind enemy lines. And then there's a strike fleet here on Heliositis that is moving itself onwards to Icaros. Just a bonus 4th behind enemy lines there. So that finishes up that turn, giving them a completed goal and earning them 2 experience points. Let's give that to them here. That takes them up to 4 and finishes off their turn. So we get to move right along to Ascent. Apparently that is missing. Complete goal. Plus 2 XP. Alright, Ascent coming up next. Coming in not quite last, but definitely not as fast as they'd like to be. 6th this turn. They're going to continue their normal trend of exploring the sector. So let's give them their money, and then we'll see what happens there. So Ascent goes up to a balance of 54 faction credits, and then the smuggler's asset that currently finds itself in empty space in 1718 1718 is moving themselves into an empty space at 1518 right over here. So let's go take care of that movement. Ascent is up at near the top here. 1718 is moving 1518. Great. That's going to cost 1 faction credit. But I'll just make them charge, or excuse me, I'll have them pay for all of their movement here at the very end. Next up, they're going to take the exploration action on the hex of 0902, which is, well, way up here. So 0902, they're going to take that exploration action. It's going to start with the smuggler's asset. So 0902 has a difficulty of, let's see, 12, as it's 2 hexes away from the nearest nearest explored hex. Excuse me. It's a cunning bonus for Ascent given the assets that are exploring. So they have, it's a cunning bonus. So Ascent has a total of +6 to this roll. So a D10 plus 6 versus DC 12 using the smuggler's asset first. A 14 will give them success. So let's go record that and then figure out how many planets are they have discovered here. So they're gonna roll a d6 here. Just one planet, that's alright. But it's gonna be a pretty interesting one, and oh man, that's so close. It's off by 1. Well, unfortunately, off by 1 is still not 20, so no ruin, but oh so close to finding one. Alright, so this is the hex of 0902, I believe? Yep. Let me just double check that one. Yep, 0902. Perfect, so this is now... Hopefully this lettering is correct. BQ. Is there a planet BQ? There is! R. That's going to actually apparently require searching for it that way. BR. There's not a BV, so it's planet BV. Apparently my notes sheet for what planet is next is out of date. Well, that's alright. Planet BB can take over here. Planet BB. Planetary government controller is none. However, the mechanics tag is tactic assets built cost 1 less. It has the population of tens of millions at TL3 with a breathable mix atmosphere, a cold temperature, a miscible biosphere, however, with the planet tags cultural power and eugenics cult. 2 fantastic things that, you know, are never going to cause any problems whatsoever. As stated, it's only a ruins roll of a 19, so no ruin was discovered, unfortunately. With that, though, we can return to their turn, where they have one final thing, where they're going to be moving the smugglers from 0902 onward to a point of interest at 0701. Okay, so smugglers on here. This is now planet DV, and these guys are moving on to a new point of interest to hopefully explore 0701. Perfect. That's going to cost them 2 faction credits, so we have a total charge of 3 for their turn, bringing them down to 51. They've completed their goal, so that gives them 2 more experience, taking them up to 10. Moving right along in the turn order, Starlet Court is up next, giving us a 7, coming in 7th in this turn. They are going to be just a simple expand influence, and you know, sometimes the easy turns are the best turns sometimes. So, expanding influence after they've earned their money, that's going to take them up to a total of 15 faction credits, and then they're going to, on planet BF in the 1700 system, which is way up here. They're going to place down a base of influence. So let's go add that for them. So Starlet Court right over here. Give them a base of influence. And it's going to be 1 XP. And it's located on the same planet that is right above, planet BF. Perfect. The other thing they are going to make a request to do is they have a smuggler's asset that is currently located in the 1607 hex, and it's going to move to the 1609 hex. Being as that's 2 hexes away, perfectly legitimate move. With that, that's going to cost them 2 2 faction credits, 1 for the expand influence, 1 for the movement, taking them down to a balance of 13, granting them 1 XP. And their Seas planet continues to progress, going now at 2 out of 3. Their turn is complete, and we move right along to the Concord of Mutual Disdain, coming in 8th this faction turn for a turn order. They're going to continue this trend of doing some expanding of influence, and let's do that right after they've made their money. So they're going to go up to a total of 31 faction credits, and then they're going to expand influence onto the planet BT in the 1818, which is way down here in the bottom of the map, planet. So let's go give them that base of influence. So we'll insert a row here, give them another base of influence, and we can just pull these columns down. It's equivalent, and this is onto planet BT. Alright, that takes care of that expansion for them. That costs them 1 faction credit. Then they have some movement to take place. They have a Smugglers on the 1709 hex that is moving to 1510. And then they have a strike fleet in orbit of 1818 that is going to move to the 1617 hex. And then they have a strike fleet in the 1613 hex that is going to move to the 1615 hex. Perfect. That takes care of all of those 3 movements of theirs, none of them moving into point of interest, so 1 credit each, costing them a total on their turn of 4 faction credits. So that takes the Concord of Mutual Disdain down to a total of, let's see here, minus 4 is 27. That takes care of that, and so we move right along. And, oh, I need to give them their 1 XP, taking them up to 6. So last, but certainly not least for turn orders this time, is the Amelhart Institute, coming in 9th, right in front of the White Whale. Amelhart Institute is going to just use some actions here, but they are going to start off with something that's fairly exciting and level up their cunning score to a 6. Going to cost them 12 experience points to do so, but it also increases their income. So now they're down to 1, and now they get to gain a lovely 6 faction credits, bringing them up to 48. With that said, though, they now get to make some die rolls for their use asset. They're going to activate 3 of their commodities brokers, so that's going to roll 3d8s, giving them a total discount of 15 across the set of 3, 7, and 5. So let's go find their commodities brokers to make that tracking. So discount 3, discount 7, and discount 5. So there we go. They're then going to activate the homeworld ability that they have, giving them the ability to move their planet 1 hex, and they're going to move Ingrid from the 0503 hex into the 0414, from the 0513 to 0414. So let's find Ingrid, which is going to be way up at the top here, and move them into the 0414, and I should make sure that that doesn't exist elsewhere, because it would be a minor problem if it did. Nope, it doesn't. Okay. So that's taking care of them moving their planet. I'll have to go move some assets here in just a moment, but they have some other movements to take care of first. Then they're going to move a commodities broker, taking advantage of a covert shipping asset that is on 0315 to move some assets around. So this sorry, they're going to use a covert shipping asset, which I believe is actually, yeah, on their homeworld, to move to the point of interest in 1114, or excuse me, 0114. It doesn't look like that's in range, but that's because Ingrid is now actually in this hex, which is in range. Movement is weird when you're able to move the planet you're starting on. So, with Ingrid having moved, that movement is now totally fine. Let's take advantage of that and move this commodities broker that is currently right here, and we're going to move itself over to 0114. So that's going to cost a total of 2 faction credits, moving into that point of interest. And then there's a smuggler that is currently on Ingrid right here, and it's going to move to the 0416 empty piece of space. Movement is weird when the planet can move. So good thing we've double checked that all of those movements are perfectly fine. And let's go charge them the total cost of 3 faction credits for those movements, taking them down to 45. That wraps up their turn. For the Amelhart Institute, quite exciting of a turn for them, and for everyone overall. We do have, is it 1 faction left? We'll do the yes, there are some. We will handle the white whale here in just one moment. I just want to make sure there aren't any of these invalid things that aren't space markers. I will fix anything that is space after the stream, because doing so on stream is just bound to have me make all kinds of mistakes that I won't make if I'm not trying to both, talk and figure out what space numbers I can remove and which ones need to be added. So let's process the white whale here, coming in, as always, 10th in the faction turn. And then let me actually filter this real quick so that it's in the correct order. So, the white whale asset was attacked this turn, so its trigger text is slightly different. If attacked this turn, it either moves 2 hexes in a random direction, chosen by rolling just by rolling a dice to figure out which direction we move relative to the hex we're in, or it chooses to make an attack back. To determine between these 2 courses of actions, we roll a d20. If the value that the dice rolls is below its current HP value, it fights back, otherwise it flees. So we're going to go roll a d20 for maybe the first time ever in our faction turn, and 12 is the current HP of the whale, so the whale has rolled under its HP of a 9, therefore it is going to choose to stay and fight. So, the whale has now taken the attack action effectively against the Algomala Syndicate. Now there's some, fun challenges here that, because I didn't know this in advance, I can't explicitly I probably should have asked in advance, in hindsight, but I didn't think to do so, which was to gather defensive request from the Algomala Syndicate. Now, I suspect I could make a very reasonable guess, and Enderfriend, who's probably in chat, could correct me if I'm wrong, that perhaps a strike fleet of theirs that is in the hex that is at maximum HP would be the defending asset. So, if you'd like to defend with the asset that currently has less than full HP, I'll let you make that choice. But otherwise, I'm going to default to the one at full HP, and then technically, you're also being attacked on Tellus, because there's a Zealot's asset here that is controlled by the white whale. But this attack fizzles because you have no assets on this planet. So, there were some angry protests at the TTGI station against the Algomala Syndicate. So, maybe there'll be a reporter who goes to report on that incident. But in the meantime, let's go handle the white whale attacking you in space. So it's just going to be an attack roll, much like normal. So the white whale uses its force assets for an attack. So that's going to roll the white whale rolling a 4 into a 4. So we'll roll the attacker first, like we've done the entire time today. So we'll start off with the white whale rolling an abysmal 5. Let's roll for the Algomala Syndicate on defense, who have, oh my goodness, have equally rolled an abysmal 5. So that's a tie, which means both an attack and both people succeed and get to roll damage, if I'm remembering how ties work correctly. Let's just double check, because it's both hilarious to have tied with the lowest possible roll. So, that's, yes, defenders. A tie results in both attack and counterattack succeeding. Yep. So they both take damage. So let's say the white whale is going to roll its attack damage, which is 2d4. So let's roll the attack damage first. So 2d4, which is a total of 3 damage. And the strike fleets have a counter damage of 1d8. So let's roll the d8, dealing 2 counter damage. Okay. Well, this turned very exciting at the end of the faction turn. Okay. Let's go record this. So this was a d10 plus 4 equals 5 versus d10 plus 4 equals 5. Tie. Damage is 2d4 equals 3. Counter is 1d8 equals 2. Okay, that was exciting. Let's go record the actual damage now. So the white whale itself took 2 damage, going down to a total of 10, and one of the Algomala Syndicate ships that's here that has a full HP. How about I'm gonna go with the PD's Pagoo, because it's at the top of the ship, has taken 3 damage, going down to 5. Alright, there we go. Fun attacks all around. That finishes up the whale's turn, who's given us a very exciting end to this faction turn. And that wraps up all of the processing of orders. So thanks everyone again for submitting them. It's been a quite fun turn, including a little bit of spicy play, and it'll be good to see what all resolves out from that. But the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for since the start of the turn today, the terraforming clock on Telos has now reached its completion at being 12 out of 12. I do have a few announcements for changes to Telos as a result of this. So, as first I said, there is that outstanding lore request where I'd appreciate a commentary from every faction on this achievement. It does not have to be positive. In fact, I certainly hope at least a couple of you choose to be critical, because I know there are factions that may be critical of the TTGI, so it would be interesting to get even that negative, or perhaps critical is a better word than negative, perspective on the event. All the statements will run in the little segment. I'll probably try to work it together into a pretty reasonable newscast between myself and Cal, and maybe I'll follow up with a few of you to get audio clips so that we can turn it into have quotes to play. But that'll be something pretty cool. But there are some changes. So the first thing is the atmosphere has gone from thick to being a breathable mix. So a little bit easier to breathe on planet now. The other thing is there's now a new addition to the to this, which is that the Children of the Vein now get to add 3 faction credits per turn as a result of their abilities for this planet. So their income has increased, and I will need to adjust this. adjust this value correspondingly. So this retro expression is add 3 per turn, and if it does, it's now this. There we go. Can now hide this column again. So they now are going to get a total income of +9, including 3 from the planet of Tellus. Just as a brief reminder about the total planet, there are also the other planetary tags of once per turn. You can heal 1 HP for free, which we've seen the Children of the Vein using, and there's also the reroll of a faction credit generating die for 1 asset on planet. So that wraps up the mechanical changes to Tellus as a result of the terraforming efforts. So we'll just get to see what happens lore-wise about the announcements regarding all of that. And in the interest of the transparency that the faction turn inspires, there is stuff in the work for this sort of environmental effects that are continuing. The seeds of which have sort of been offhandedly mentioned in lore events, as far as the lore explanation that I'm going to be introducing this next thing with. I don't have any mechanical announcement for what's coming up next quite yet. I'll take a couple of turns here to just let the after effects of Tellus settle down and see if things come out of that. But there is stuff in the works and being discussed and planning for what comes next. So don't worry, that is undergoing progress. But that then, I think, wraps up our faction turn this month. So thanks everyone for tuning in. As always, it's been a blast to have you here, and I always enjoy running these faction turns. Again, if you're interested in joining in and playing a faction, you can join our Discord so that you can join a faction and influence the turns you've seen processed here today. You can also join in at our semi-regular free agent sessions, which are run in the world of Beacon Space using the Cypher system by my co-host for the lore streams and fellow moderator on the server of Lubus Calbrecht. He has been running those. Again, if you're interested in joining, just let a mod know and we can give you the tags so that you can see into those channels so that people who don't want to play aren't bombarded by additional channels. Thanks everyone for tuning into this faction turn. The dates for the next lore stream and next faction turn have not quite yet been decided, but as soon as I have them available within the next couple of days, I will be sure to let everyone know on the Discord so that people can start planning. If you need an at minimum, the lore stream will be no sooner than April 16th, which is 2 weeks from today. But it's likely that I may actually have a longer delay between this turn and the lore stream than normal, so we may actually have closer to a month before the upcoming lore stream, which may run the lore stream and the next faction turn closer together than normal, but I think that's just the way things are going to work out. The 23rd is off the table because I will actually be at PAX East, so I suppose this is a quasi-announcement for if anyone is planning on coming to PAX East, let me know in the Discord and I can certainly try to plan up and meet up and say hi, and that would be cool. It's not quite the same event that would be. It's the first time I'm going to a convention since, well, everything that has happened in the world has happened, so that'll be pretty fun. And if anyone does happen to be going, please message me and let me know, because I'd love to say hi if available. So, with that though, I think I get to sign off and leave you with some nice and enjoyable music from Norse Foundry's different collections. Thanks for tuning in to Beacon Space with Unrestricted Lore Affairs Faction Turn, and I will see you for our next stream, whenever that is, in the next couple of weeks. Bye everyone.